It's Monday, September 12th, 2022. This is the MMAOB Daily Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin, joined by my co-host here on Monday evenings, Mr. Big Marcel. Apparently Friday evenings because we did that emergency podcast last week. But yeah, Marcel, hopefully that doesn't happen this week. Hopefully there's not a bunch of like shuffles at the last minute.
Yeah.
We're going to be breaking down UFC Vegas 60 today, guys. We have 14 fights to break down, which is pretty crazy. So it's a big card, one of the bigger ones in recent memory. At this point in time, there is no opponent for Sadiq Youssef because Giga Chikadze obviously pulled out last minute. I don't know if he's going to get an opponent. I'm thinking it's kind of doubtful, Marcel. I think you said it's kind of doubtful at this point.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, yeah. Who they can get with like with four days to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't think of. Not sure why someone would take that fight, right? Like against a really tough dude on such short notice, unless it's a guy who's not in the UFC to get it.
Yeah, or unranked or something. You know, I mean, maybe but why would Youssef accept that one? Yeah,
I agree. All right, so we're going to be breaking down all 14 fights, guys. Looking forward to talking about this card with you. Quick comment from Glenn. He's talking about the salaries from 278. They did come out. Yeah, I saw them. The salaries is really low. I'm hoping that costs a number. There's some extra under the table money. Richie Lang, I'm not surprised he's getting that much. Actually, that less. I can't even think of the word. I'm not surprised he's getting screwed. That's what I'm trying to say. There was another guy, Daniel Da Silva, got 10,000. So we thought the minimum salary was 12, Marcel. It's not. It's still 10, which is terrible. So, Joe, yes, some good matchups for sure. Looking forward to talking about these fights with you guys. Marcel, really quick, like your thoughts overall on this card because we do have 14 fights. So what's your overall thoughts?
It's an okay card. You know, there are some good fights on it. I really love the Gregory Rodriguez, Chidi and Njokuani fight. I think that's amazing. I like the Aljo Fili fight as well. And there are some Damon Jackson against Pat Sabatini should be on the main card. You know, there are some fun fights on this card. There are also some fights I'm like, I don't really care about. But overall, listen, man, you know, we watch all fights, we watch the whole card, and overall it will be probably a good card. So, yeah.
I think the card will be good. That's my honest thoughts. I think there's going to be a lot of finishes, and I think you're going to be a couple of fight of the night contenders. Obviously, not a lot of big names on this card, but the matchups look pretty good. There's a couple of matchups that aren't great, but I think overall, out of the 14 fights, there's at least maybe 8 or 9 fights that I am looking forward to a lot. So, looking forward to break down this card with you guys. I think we should just get right into it, man. Not even wasting any time here, Marcel. So let's just start off. First fight of the night, Nikolas Motta taking on Cameron VanCamp in UFC lightweight fight. And we got to stress that both guys are coming off knockout losses here in their debuts. But now they're fighting two guys are basically UFC newcomers. They both fought veterans in their debuts, obviously. Motta got knocked out by Jim Miller. VanCamp got knocked out Fiallo. Not really bad losses on paper. Odds for this one, Marcel, pretty steep actually, in my opinion. You have Motta right now minus 210, plus 180 on VanCamp. Give me your pick. What do you think about the odds? Motta, clear favorite here. But are we convinced he's going to win this fight? I'm not going to lie. I'm not really convinced. What do you think?
Yeah, by the way, I'm laughing. I just got a message that I got my Alice in Chains Funko set tomorrow. So
Alice in Chains?
Yeah, man.
Really I love cool. Alice. They're one of my favorite bands. I actually got to see them a few years ago. They were great. With the new singer, obviously, but he's great. William Duvall is a great singer. I mean, he's not Lane Staley, but he's still amazing. So that's incredible. Anyways, give me your thoughts on this. We'll talk about music after. Man. That's incredible, though. Yeah. Your thoughts?
I mean, this fight was actually booked earlier, last year, and the fight didn't happen because of injury. Nikolas Motta, I remember, I think he was a favorite going into that Jim Miller fight. Remember, we both were kind of surprised about it.
The odds made no sense. Yeah.
So. And I still think Nikolas Motta is a good fighter, don't get me wrong. I think he's a talent, If you look at Cameron VanCamp pretty much have every single title a regional promotion has to offer where he fought. He's he has some experience, He fought Andre Fiallo on short notice earlier this year. I think he's a very good fighter, but I think Nikolas Motta is more upset, in my opinion. I think Nikolas Motta I really like him. I saw him fight many times. I just think the Jim Miller fight was too early for him against a guy from that how do you say that, from that status.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Motta here. I don't see a finish. I think it goes to a decision, but I expect a fun fight. I think VanCamp is a fun fighter. I like Motta as well, so I'm going with Motta here, but I'm not sure, dude. I'm not sure.
I honestly kind of feel like this one go either way. That's my thoughts. I'm leaning Motta just a little bit, just because I agree with you. I think he's got more upside here. Just in general, I was like when he fought in Contender, I was a little bit more impressed. But we got to stress, like they're both the same age. They're both 29. And the other thing is VanCamp is a lot bigger, guys. He's 5 inches taller, 4-inch reach advantage. Those things could come into play. And to be honest with you, I didn't think he looked half bad against Fiallo before the knockout. He actually rocked.
No, I agree.
He rocked him. So, Motta looked like garbage, I thought, against Jim Miller. Motta, he looked good on Contender, but, he was on the Ultimate Fighter a few years ago and lost on that show. And that's one of the reasons I picked against him. I was like, he's been knocked out a couple of times, Marcel. I would not be surprised if he lost here. I don't think it's a safe bet here to take Motta. I'm going to pick him because I do think he is the better fighter. But VanCamp, has got quite a bit of experience himself. He's fought some decent competition. Not great, but decent. He's got a little bit more overall experience. I think someone gets finished. I know you said decision. I think someone gets finished. I'm going to go Motta by knockout, but I actually think VanCamp could knock him out too. So go ahead.
Did I ever told you that VanCamp is the guy who was actually supposed to fight Pimblett against Van der Armeni?
You were supposed to fight Paddy Pimblett?
No. Remember when I posted that Paddy was out of the fight? That whole shit that got on last year.
Yeah. I remember. It was last September. It was actually last September. I remember. I'm looking right now. I remember.
VanCamp was actually the guy who was supposed to replace Paddy against Van der Armeni.
Yes, I remember. I remember you DM'd me. You're like, hey, this guy. I'm like, who's Cameron VanCamp? I remember I actually did a tape study on the guy back then, and I thought he looked decent, but then he never fought. And then he basically got cut and then re-signed, I think. That's what happened. So anyways, Marcel, I mean, my pick's Motta too, but I'm not confident in this guy.
I agree. I'm with you.
Yeah. 4 years since VanCamp fought 155. That's a good point. Keep an eye for the weigh-ins, and that can affect his chin too, right? That could definitely affect his chin, cutting out that weight. All right, let's get to the next fight here, guys. We got Tony Gravely taking on Javid Basharat. This is an awesome fight, Marcel. I feel like this fight should be higher in the card. I think this is such a good fight, right? This should be in the main card, maybe. Like this is
or future prelim, at least somewhere higher. Yeah,
I'm surprised it's buried. Anyways, like I said, there's some good fights in this card, especially deep into the card. Right now, the odds for this one pretty close. Minus 155 Basharat, plus 135 Gravely. Open as a pick 'em. Who's your pick in this one?
So the thing is, it's super difficult, this one. I really like Javid Basharat, and I think he's a really good fighter. He pretty much destroyed Oran Kalan in the Contender Series.
That was fun.
Yeah.
The racist guy, right?
Yeah, and he actually, listen, he could have finished that fight in the first round, but he didn't want it to finish in the first round. He just went through the third round, and he pretty much finished him in the last minute. It's actually pretty how do you say that? Pretty rude, but if you can finish somebody in the first, and you just do it in the third. But there's reasons, obviously, like you said, what Oran Kalan said. And then against Trevin Jones, he looked really good. I think it was a fun fight. And Trevin Jones is not a bad fighter at all. We saw that before. Tony Gravely, is it Gravely of Gravely? I still don't know. I think Tony is a fun fighter to watch as well. I think he looked good in many of his fights in the UFC. Remember, he always beat Nate Maness in the first round, and then Nate Maness came back in the second round and beat him. Now he has a 2-fight win streak against Oliveira and against Munoz. We both were on Munoz last time, I remember, and I think we were both kind of surprised that he won against Munoz. We were both on Munoz, I think. It's very difficult. I think it's a close fight. I still favor Basharat a little bit here, a little bit. I'm going with a decision when I don't see a finish. I'm going with Basharat, but I'm far from sure, dude. I think Gravely can do work as well.
So your pick is Basharat by
decision. Maybe a split even. Close.
I think it's a competitive fight, but I like him too in this fight. I'm going to pick him. It's the thing that's interesting is Gravely's also kind of a wrestler, right? So that's why, because I think that's why it's interesting. Basharat, I think his grappling's great, man. I think it's looked good. I also think he's got some decent striking. Gravely's got some power, though. We saw that in the last fight. That was a brutal knockout. I don't know if it's the other guy's chin that was the reason that happened, but he looked good. And even against Nate Maness, and that guy's really good. He dropped him, and then he lost eventually, but looked good overall. Overall. But the problem is, I know says he's been working on it, but if you look through his career, Marcel, he's been submitted a lot, right? Like, I think he's got 7 submission losses or something. That's too many for me to pick him. I can't do it against a guy like Basharat, who's such a good grappler. And, as far as like physically goes, I believe Basharat has some advantages here, guys. He's got a 4-inch height advantage. Same reach, which is surprising, but 4 inches of height. He's a little bit younger as well. I think there's more upside with him. I think it's a good fight. Both guys are solid, but I think Basharat wins. I'm going to take him by submission. I'm going to look for the prop on that and see what it is. If it comes out, I would take a shot at that prop on Basharat by submission because that's how Gravy loses a lot of his fights. So, yeah, Gravy is a good wrestler too, but you're right. He does gas. And also, like I said, the submission defense is not great, guys. He's been submitted historically quite a few times. So that's why I pick in this one, Marcel. We both have the same pick. Let's get to the next one here, guys. Mariya Agapova taking on Gillian Robertson, the Savage. So Demon Slayer versus the Savage, Marcel. It should be a fun fight. Odds on this one here. Let's take a look. Odds right now. Minus 140, Gillian Robertson. Plus 120, Mariya Agapova. Your quick thoughts on this fight?
Yeah, man, Mariya Agapova taking it on short notice because I think Robertson was supposed to fight Melissa Gatto, right?
She was supposed to fight last month, right?
Yeah,
Agapova. So
yeah, okay, yeah, true.
Angela Hill, was it? Let me double check. But she was
Banks?
supposed to fight last month, guys. So I just wanted to note that because she was training before something happened in training, and she was supposed to fight Ji-Yeon Kim. Excuse me.
Oh, Ji-Yeon Kim. Okay.
Yes, 6 weeks ago. So yeah. Go ahead.
So yeah, Agapova, she's now with MMA Masters, right? Yeah, she lost against Morose, and I didn't expect that actually. I remember I was like, Morose, she's more like busy with her OnlyFans, but she looked good. She looked good in the fight, in my opinion. If you look at Gillian Robertson is a girl, like, if she can implement her game plan, she looks really good, but if she can't implement her game plan, she looks really off.
Yeah.
She's really inconsistent, but so is Agapova as well. The thing is, I think that if Gillian Robertson can take her down, she can win the fight. And Agapova is getting taken down often, in my opinion. I remember the Tracy Cortez fight where she got completely out-wrestled in that fight for 3 rounds. And there are more. So for me, it's like it's difficult to pick because both are very inconsistent, but my gut feeling says that Gillian Robertson wins the decision here.
I think someone gets finished in this fight. I'm going to say that right now. Agapova's gas tank is pretty bad, and most of her fights do end inside the distance. Robertson, most of her wins have come by submission. I think this fight doesn't go the distance for herself, so I got a different take on that one. I think it's a pick-em fight. I really do. I think it can go either way. They're both very inconsistent, like you said. Robertson probably has fought better competition overall, but Agapova's fought some decent competition too. I think Agapova, honestly, is the more talented fighter overall, but the gas tank's bad. The submission defense is bad, so it wouldn't surprise me if she loses. I'm going to pick Agapova, though. To win by TKO. I think she could finish her. Robertson with strikes, but I'm not betting on this fight, dude. I don't trust either girl. I'm just taking Agapova because, again, I think she has a little more upside. She's a little bit younger, a little bit longer, a little bit taller, southpaw. If she doesn't gas as hard as she has been, which is very likely, like if she looks like she did remember the Mazel fight, she didn't gas in that fight, right? She looked great. If she shows up like that, she'll win this fight, in my opinion. Drop her, finish her with strikes. But if she doesn't, she's going to get submitted herself. I think the fight does not go the distance.
Every time I hear the name Agapova, I have to think about tennis, and that's because of Sharapova.
I'm just looking at the odds. It actually came out today. The under came out with plus money. It's been flipped, so now it's actually minus money. So people are kind of seeing what I'm seeing, Marcel, with the finish being online, probably because of the gas tanks and the bad submission defense, honestly, of Agapova, right? But I think Robertson's also defensively flawed. So again, small pick with Agapova by TKO, guys. Maybe I'll take a look at that prop, but
I would never put money on this fight, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's 14 fights, right? So I'm trying to pick my spots, but Marcel, like I've been saying, like there's a lot of value in these props sometimes. So maybe I'll take a look at an Agapova TKO prop potentially. Joe likes Gillian, fair enough. Robertson has lost to qualifiers. Agapova is up there. Probably, you're probably right.
True.
Yeah, under. That's why I'm looking sign collectibles.
To quote
Agapova TKO.
To quote Edmund's brother Leon Shabazian, never put money on fucking women fights because they are obviously always super close. Many split decisions all the time. It can go either way.
I get people saying that. I also hear people say all the time, like, don't bet on heavyweight fights. But guess what? Like, there's still value to be had. Every fight is different. You never know. There's more variance. I agree with that. Makes it riskier for sure. But I wouldn't say as a rule you shouldn't bet on women's fights. I think there's some fights to bet on. This is just not one I don't think you should bet on. So I'm with you on that. Andrew, what's up, man? Glad to have you here, buddy. A-Look was asking about that fight from last week contender. Jamie Lawson looked horrible. I can't believe how bad he looked. The guy looked like he never wrestled in his life. How was he a wrestler in college? That makes no sense. He looked bad. Marcel was horrible. Julian gets discouraged. That's what I'm seeing here too. I think they're both kind of front runners, man. It's kind of like Cutelaba, both of them. They're like the women version. Like if things are going well, they'll do well. If they're going bad, they'll do bad, in my opinion. So Heavyweight's worse to win. Yeah, I think heavyweight's got a little bit more variance probably with the one punch power, right? Mudbang wins the underdog decision like Reed. That was a good pick. I'm taking Agapova by TKO, like I said. All right, let's go to the next fight here. Featherweight fight, Marcel Trey Ogden taking on Daniel Zellhuber. This is a fun fight, man. Sorry, it's not featherweight, excuse me, lightweight fight. My apologies. Right now, the odds for this one, Zellhuber is a pretty big favorite here, Marcel. He is minus 260 and plus 220 on Trey Ogden, who obviously lost his UFC debut. So your thoughts on this fight, my friend?
Like James Lynch would say, the floor is yours.
I mean, I don't think this is a hard fight to call at all. I like Daniel Zellhuber here a lot. I don't think there's a lot to like about Trey Ogden personally. Losing to Jordan Leavitt is not the great look, especially the way the fight played out. Basically got like low kicked and lost just because of kicks. The guy's got some submissions. We've seen that. If the fight hits the ground in this fight, he could win the fight. But, bro, I got to be honest with you. I think Zellhuber's like part of this next wave of like young, up-and-coming Mexican fighters, man. He's not getting talked about enough. I know you were talking about before the contender, and you were like, keep your eye on this guy. I think he wins this fight all day. He's got a huge age advantage, 10 years, guys. He has a 5-inch reach advantage. He's taller. He's more talented. He's a better striker. I think he finishes Trey Ogden with strikes. That's why I see this fight going. And Ogden has never been knocked out. I'm just looking right now. But I still think Zellhuber can knock him out. If not, I think he'll win decision. But I think Zellhuber wins all day. Much better striker. Keeps the fight standing, wins for sure. Really like him here. The odds are spot on. I think he should be a decent-sized favorite. What do you think?
Yeah, Ogden's going to be knocked out the first time in this fight. You know, I think Daniel Zellhuber stops in the first round. I'm really high on the dude. Even before Contender Series, but that Contender Series fight, dude, against Lucas Almeida. And we saw how Lucas Almeida made his debut in the UFC.
Really good, too. Remember I picked him in his fight against...
You did, Trezano.
Yeah, he's really good. They're both good. So.
Absolutely. And I think that was one of the better fights last year in the Contender. And awesome. I'm picking Zellhuber here. I think he knocks him on the first round, probably with ground and pound. So TKO or KO strikes.
I'm with. We all have the same pick on this one, guys. Why would you pick Ogden? Because of the ground game, I guess. You think that he could take him down? I don't even see that. I mean, listen, against Jordan Leavitt's a hard guy to take down, I guess, kind of. I mean, I know he just got submitted, but I just think Zellhuber, Marcel, I'm guessing he's just training his takedown defense like crazy the last couple of years. It's only 23, guys. He's got a lot of potential, Marcel. I think he could be really good in this division. Like, there's so many young, good fighters in the UFC right now. And this is one of them. Me too, John. I can't wait for his debut. Zellhuber is very smooth, very good. Surprised Ben Rango, what's up, man? I'm surprised more fighters don't gas more often. Not sure about you. My gas tank varies. I've got a cold. It's bad. Imagine fighters go through a lot. Like I always talk about this, man. Like you never know what they're going through in their personal life. That's why sometimes you'll watch a fight and you'll be like, "How did this guy look so bad?" He might have felt like shit that day. You never know, right? You really never know. It's not a team sport where you like if it's football, you're hiding. There's 53 guys on a roster. You can hide. I'm talking about American football. Hockey, you got 20 guys, right? So you can hide if a guy's like not playing well, you can still win. But when you're one-on-one, Marcel, and you're having a bad day, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's the fun with a team sport. If there are 20 guys and you are the only one with a bad day, the other 19 guys will probably make sure you can still probably win. But if you're on your own and you have a bad day, you're fucked.
For sure. So we went to Tiger Muay Thai Super Tour. The guy's a beast. He's going to do well. Let's go to the next fight here. Loma Lookboonmee taking on Denise Gomes. She's taking the fight on short notice. Filling in for who was it again? Let me double check. You know who
for Diana Belbita.
And I think that I actually really liked Loma in that fight against Belbita. I think this is actually a harder fight, even though the odds are more wide now. Because against Belbita, actually no, they're about the same. They're about the same now that I look at it. I felt more confident about Belbita because Belbita's striking defense is like non-existent. She does not move her head, right? Gomes is a better striking defense, and she just fought a couple weeks ago. She looked pretty good in her fight. Not great, but looked good. Got good enough to be signed. Loma she hasn't fought in almost a year now. But here's the thing. We know her wrestling's not great, but her striking's good. We know that. If this is a pure striking battle, I do think Loma's probably the better pure striker. That's why I'm going to pick her here. But I think Gomes is solid, man. I think it's going to be a very close fight. I think the judges get involved in this one. Could be a split decision too. This could be a split, guys, because I think that they're pretty evenly matched. I think the strikes are going to come from both girls. Loma by decision, potentially a split would be my pick here, but I do think there's upset potential with the dog. What do you think, man?
Yeah, I'm taking the dog here, man.
There you go. I don't blame you. I'm going to say that. Go ahead.
I think it's a super close fight, man. And Denise Gomes, she fought recently. She didn't look bad at all. I think she looked pretty decent. For Loma, I think, and this is the thing, Denise is only a little bit longer than her, but Loma is kind of short for the division, and a strawweight, atomweight would be so much better for her. And I think the UFC should implement that division, in my opinion. I think super close fight. Loma probably has the edge in the striking, but I think Denise Gomes can take the fight to the ground as well,
Yeah.
So that's where my thing is for 50-50 thing. And I'm 50-50 on this. I'm going with the dog here. I think it's too wide, in my opinion. It should be more of a maybe not a pick 'em. I think Loma should be a little bit more favored here, but not as wide as it is right now. So I'm taking.
That's fair. I think that's fair because minus 250. I think it is a little wide. So I think it's dog or pass based on the line. My pick's going to be Loma. I think she'll win decision. I do think the fight goes over 2.5 rounds. I think it goes the distance. I think the judges get involved. I think it'll be close. And Marcel might be right about this one taking the dog. So, like you said, Marcel, in a lot of these women's fights, it's not a bad idea to take the dog. A lot of dogs win in the women's fights. We know that. So don't blame me at all, my friend. Andrew says he's having a hard time picking it. Dana White's Contender Series debut on short notice. I agree. Having said that, she just fought, right? So she's fresh. But did take a little bit of damage in that fight. It wasn't like she just got out unscathed. It was a pretty competitive fight. But yeah, I think Loma's the more technical striker. She should win this fight. I'm just saying, she's not really a knockout artist, right? So it's going to go to the scorecards, but it's you never know with the judges. So that's kind of my thoughts on this one, guys. Let's go to the next fight here. Another women's fight, Marcel. We got a lot of them on this card, apparently. This one's Aspen Ladd against Sara McMann. Let me ask you a question before I even get into the fight. What are the odds this fight even happens? Does Aspen Ladd even make weight on Friday? Are you confident she makes weight? I'm not. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You too, eh? You're a little bit worried, eh? Yeah. Odds for this one, Aspen Ladd is the favorite, minus 125, minus 105 on, plus 105 on Sara McMann, the comeback. Sara actually opened as a favorite here, minus 180, so the line's completely flipped. And it seems like there is quite a bit of money, or at least there was initially coming in on Ladd to make the line go the other way. Let me start with this one, man. I'm going to start with this one. I don't trust Aspen Ladd at all, dude. I got to be honest with you. I don't trust her anymore. This was 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, I would have picked her, but I think she's regressed. I think she's getting worse. I thought she looked terrible against Raquel Pennington. She looked terrible against Nora Dumont. Those are 2 fights since she's came back. She's obviously missed weight. She's had multiple botched weight cuts. Oh, man, I can't believe what she's looking like because she's still young. She's only 27. It's crazy, right? But I just think she's on a decline. I think that the UFC kind of rushed her up the ladder with that Durandamy fight. She has never really recovered since then, Marcel. Although the stoppage obviously was a little questionable, but still never recovered from that. And McMann, such a hard fighter to kind of bet on, right? She's so inconsistent. You talked about Robertson and Agapova being consistent. What about Sara McMann, dude? Super inconsistent, right? You never really know what you're going to get from her. She looks great in some fights, looks horrible in others. But she looked great in her last fight against Carol Rosa, who I think is a really good prospect. That surprised me how good she looked in that fight. And she looked great against Juliana Pena before she got submitted too. So I'm leaning towards Sara McMann, even though she's 42 years old. Sorry, 41. She turns 42 in 2 weeks. I can't believe I'm picking a 40-plus fighter in a women's fight especially, but I don't trust Aspen Ladd, and I have a little more faith with McMann in wrestling, but I don't know, Marcel. Get me away from this fight. You talk about stay away fight? This is the classic example. McMann by decision after gassing out in the 3rd round and barely hanging on and winning. That's my pick here. What's your thoughts, man?
Ladd. I always like Aspen Ladd, but I mean, for some reason, it doesn't click anymore for her at certain moments, and can she get it going against Sara McMann? It's difficult. Sara McMann did look pretty decent as of lately, in my opinion. It's so difficult, man. It's really a difficult fight. I would never put money on this fight. But like you said, Sara McMann gasses lately, and she's getting older, and Aspen Ladd, I still have the feeling Aspen Ladd has potential, but she has to flip a switch certain way to get back to where she was before. And I think she might lose the 1st round, 2nd round will be competitive. The 3rd round, she probably finishes her. So I'm going with a finish for Aspen.
That's something to keep an eye on for sure. I think a 3rd round TKO maybe for Ladd is something to place a bet on potentially if the odds are really good. If you get like, you might get really good odds on that. You might get like plus 2,000 on that 3rd round knockout, something like that. I know someone in the chat just mentioned that. So
and I got to pick Lad just to annoy Misha Tate.
Totally fair. Totally fair. Lad with 2 losses, 6 cancellations last scheduled. 26-pound fight day weight gain, shoulder extreme cut is no bets for wins. Completely agreed. Like I said, I think there's chances fight not even happen, guys.
Yeah.
This is kind of what I'm seeing, McMann, but it's again, don't trust her in the 3rd round. Is potentially a fight. A round should get finished. A couple other questions. Ben Rangel, I pressure with your roster knowledge. I appreciate it. I mean, I think me and Marcel know these fighters pretty well. This was the Kevin Sarvosky guy supposed to fight Jamie Lawson last week. He just fell off the card. No idea. Injury or visa? Who knows? Not sure. Maybe you'll get another fight next to a contender. I'm not 100% sure about that.
By the way, did you saw the UFC? They posted during the broadcast the Dana White Contender Series week 8 and week 10, and they completely forgot week 9.
I was going to ask you. I was actually going to message you, but I'm like, where can I find the week 9 card? Because someone else was asking me. And
I saw the book. They were supposed to show that on the UFC Paris card on the main card, but they forgot.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, it's classic UFC, right? Let's hope they don't forget the tribute to Elias Theodorou. I'm just going to say that right now. Let's hope they don't do that. All right, let's get to the next fight here, guys. This one's kind of interesting. Trevin Giles against Louis Cosce. Giles right now minus 205, Cosce plus 175. What do you think about this one, man? Kind of a weird fight in the welterweight division. What do you think?
It's a weird fight, definitely, if you think about it, that Trevin Giles fought Ryan Spann in LFA at light heavyweight. So, Louis Cosce with his brother Orion. They both came from the Contender Series last year. Louis had a fight against Sasha Palatnikov in the UFC and got finished. And I think Sasha Palatnikov isn't even in the UFC anymore right now. He's back to UAE Warriors, I think. Trevin Giles. I think Trevin Giles is a pretty good fighter, man, but he screwed himself in a few of his fights. I mean, the Zach Cummins fight, the Gerald Meerschaert fight, he lost in the 3rd round. In fights, I think he looked pretty decent in. The James Cross fight, we talk about that many times. I think James won that fight. No disrespect to Trevin Giles. He pretty much. I still think he's talented. He just lost to 2 better fighters last time. To Dricus du Plessis was likely being in the top 15 soon, and against or he is already. I think he is, and against Michael Morales, which I'm very high on, the Ecuadorian guy. So, and Cosce, also his gas tank, it troubles me. So, and Giles, I think Giles or Giles, whatever I have to call him, I think he knocks him out 2nd round.
That's my lean too, but I don't feel confident at all betting on him after the last couple of fights. I think his chin is kind of compromised at 170. You've seen him get knocked out twice. To be fair to good fighters, Morales and du Plessis, I'm almost wondering if this was a good move to go down to this division. The problem with this guy is, Marcel, how many fights has he been winning and then he ends up losing, right? Like, it's hard to trust this guy, honestly.
Those Cummings and Meerschaert fights.
He was winning those fights, just completely gave it up. He's got all the experience, obviously. He's fought better competition. I mean, there's no doubt. I have to pick him here. Cosce had the one fight 2 years ago, completely gassed out in the 3rd round and got finished as a huge favorite. Remember, he was minus 600 and lost to Palatnikov, who's not in the UFC anymore, which is it's kind of weird always, I think, when that happens. Like when one guy beats a guy's not in the UFC, but he hasn't been fighting. He's going to get another chance. I think it is a must-win fight for him, though. If he loses, he'll probably get released. He's got some potential, Marcel, to finish the fight. Obviously, he's got some power, but don't trust him. So Giles by, I think the fight ends inside the distance too, actually. I'll say that right now. Odds on that. We don't have the fight doesn't go the distance yet, but under 1.5 is plus money. I don't know if I'd do that, but I think the fight doesn't go 3 rounds. Maybe 2nd, 3rd round finish. Maybe even 1st round, who knows? But I got to go with Giles. So my pick, Giles by TKO, that's what I'm thinking. I bet Giles after the first is not a bad idea at all. Costing under 20 minutes of cage time, long time out, interest he improves. I mean, you're right, Glenn. He could look better. That's always a chance, right? That a young fighter could look better. So it's possible. And obviously his brother just fought a couple weeks ago or last month and won that fight, right? So you never know, but I think Giles has the advantage. He's taller, longer, more experience. He should win the fight. Let's go to the next one here, guys. We got Damon Jackson taking on Pat Sabatini. I think this is one of the better fights on the card. I do think it should have been the main card, but they put on the prelims. Either way, this is an interesting fight. Right now we have Pat Sabatini is the favorite here, Marcel. He is minus 180, plus 155 on Damon Jackson. Your thoughts, my friend?
This is a fun fight, but it's difficult, I think, Damon Jackson, I really like him. I think he's a very underrated guy. I think I said it before. And that's because of his first UFC run, and then he got that knockout against Karbulaev in PFL. People underestimate him, but since his return to the UFC, man, he has got 4 wins, only 1 loss against Ilia Topuria, which is a future top contender in my opinion. Now taking on Pat Sabatini. Pat Sabatini is still undefeated in the UFC, 4-0. Did had a problem. Actually, it's fun, right? He had 4 wins in the UFC, 3 by decision, and 1 finish by heel hook. And that finish by heel hook in the first round against Jamal Amos is the fight where he looked bad, actually, in the first round. And he almost got finished, but he got that heel hook. I remember Pat Sabatini, he got his arm broken, right, by James Gonzalez a few years ago when he was fighting for a title. I think it was at CFFC. And that was the moment when everybody was thinking, like, he's next in the UFC. And then it took him a little bit longer to get in the UFC. Still super fun guy. I think he's a Daniel Gracie guy with Petrosky, Wells, with Brady, with these guys, Oh man, it's a difficult fight, but I think Pat Sabatini will edge it out probably. I think it will be super close fight. I don't see it going to. I don't see a finish here, but I'm going with a decision win for Pat Sabatini. But should be a good fight. Should be a cracker, to be honest.
It's a good fight. I think Pat wins though. I really like him in this fight. I think he matches up well with Damon Jackson. Damon's a great grappler, right? But Pat matches up, I think, in that realm of the game. And then the striking, I think Pat's a little sharper. Like you said, that camp is just on fire right now. I mean, Damon's got some advantages here with the experience, and he's an amazing submission artist. One thing I did notice too was he's never lost a decision, so that's interesting. But I think this going to lose a decision in this fight. That's my pick, Marcel. I think he loses the decision. I think Pat edges him out. I think it's going to be competitive, but I think ultimately he's the more well-rounded fighter, and he's got so much momentum coming into this fight that I do think he wins the fight. So Sabatini by decision is my pick, guys. That's what I think. I agree completely with this guy. Pat's looking great. He's looking great. And I'm not sure about these guys at all. I don't have any updates on those guys, unfortunately. Although they are kind of Canadian, I guess, right? Bigfoot or not? Is his name Kyle Bigfoot Machado? Is that his nickname? I want to say it is, or something.
I know. Iron pulled out of his title fight against Maliki.
Yeah, it's Bigfoot. Who did?
Iron pulled out of his title fight against Maliki. So and won championship.
Yeah, won. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I did think Jackson looked great against Dan Arteaga, and that's a fight he should have dominated and probably finished that fight against the smaller guys. So, kind of my thoughts on that one. Let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. We got Anthony Hernandez taking on Marc-Andre Barriault. Fluffy, our boy Fluffy, is back right now, and my guy Barriault, the fellow Canadian, right? So great fight. -180 Hernandez, +155 Barriault. Your thoughts?
I want the perfect French pronunciation from you, Adam.
Marc-Andre Barriault. Is that good?
Marc-Andre Barriault or something.
I think that's pretty good. That's probably even better than mine. Yeah, Marc-Andre. Yeah.
So I think it's a fun fight. 185. I think Anthony Hernandez. I like his fight against Josh Fremd. I was a short notice fight. He was actually supposed to fight. Who was he supposed to fight? Duplessis last time, or
I think so.
Yeah, and then he got Fremd last second.
Yeah,
and he made a fun fight of it. And before that, in my opinion, had the submission of the year against Rodolfo Vieira. That was huge. Nobody expected that at all. Marc-Andre Barriault, fun fighter, but super inconsistent as well. He looked good against Jordan Wright last time out, which I expected. But the Shidi and Jokuani fight, man, he got finished within 20 seconds. So So the thing is, I think he looked better than before in the UFC. Because his first 4 fights he didn't win. I know one he won, but it was a no contest because of whatever happened.
Yep.
Thing is, I favor Fluffy here, dude. I like Marc-Andre Barriault a lot, but I favor Fluffy here. I think his ground game will be a difference here. Although Marc-Andre Barriault, my God, isn't even bad. But I'm thinking Fluffy. I think he wins. I'm going with a decision win here, but I think he's the dominant factor in this fight.
I have the same thoughts on this fight actually. So I'm thinking Fluffy wins too. And again, I think the grappling is the difference, right? Because he's averaging 5.39 takedowns, guys, per 50 minutes. That's very high. And that's over, 6 fights in the UFC. So he goes for takedowns, gets them. Barriault's got pretty good takedown defense. It's not amazing, but it's pretty good. I do think eventually he'll just break him. I know Barriault's improved the cardio, but I still think Hernandez has got the better gas tank overall. Barriault's super tough to finish. I'm kind of leaning a decision like you, so I guess we have the same thoughts on this fight. So yeah, Hernandez by decision is my pick. I'm actually curious to see what the odds are when that comes out as far as a prop goes. But I'm thinking Hernandez does get the win here. So that's my thoughts on this fight. Loco, I mean, you're asking a lot of questions that are not really related to this card. No offense, man, but we got to stay on topic here. You can ask me after if you don't mind. As soon as we're done the previews, you're welcome to ask any of these questions. I'm trying to stay on top if I can. It's hard to do like 10 things at once. Most people I watch their previews, they don't even take questions during the show. So I think I do a pretty good job balancing it, but just got to keep my eyes on the price here. Joe, do you think more smart money is placed on fights on the prelims compared to the main card? Or random people just bet on who they heads up? I don't think so, because I think the limits are higher on the main card, right? So if you look at a lot of sportsbooks, they'll take more money on the main card fights, especially the main events or title fights. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's go to the next fight here, Marcel. We got Tanner Boser taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. That's what I said. Like, there's so many fights in this card, guys. It's crazy. Odds on this one, right now we have -180 on Boser, +155 Nascimento. Who do you think wins this one? The Bulldozer over Yogi Bear. Who wins?
I feel like this fight got booked 10 times or something. I don't know why. I feel like Tanner Boser is a guy who's underestimated, man, in the division, in my opinion. I remember when he lost to Cyril Gane, everybody was like, okay, because Cyril Gane wasn't that big of a deal back then. Remember, it was like, I think it was the second fight for Cyril or third, and he went to him with with scorecards. I remember. After that, two quick knockouts, or one quick knockout, and then another knockout of a Pessoa and Felipe Lins. The Arlovski fight, man, I kind of feel like that Boser could have won that one. It was a close fight, and the Latifi fight even more. So after that, he got very pissed, I remember, and he knocked out OSP after that. Rodrigo Nascimento. I remember when I saw Nascimento fight in the Contender Series, and then he stopped Dontel Mace. I was like, this guy can become somebody in the heavyweight division. Then he gets brutally knocked out by Chris Dawkins within a minute, and. Then he won against Alan Bordeaux and it got overturned because of USADA thing. Hasn't fought since 2020. It's been a long time for him. I like Rodrigo a lot, but I got to favor Tanner Boser here, man. I feel like Tanner Boser had the better opposition he faced, and he didn't look bad at all so far, in my opinion. So, I'm taking Tanner Boser. I'm taking him with a decision win, maybe a late stoppage, but I'm going with a decision win for Tanner Boser here.
The thing about Boser is, like, in decisions, Marcel, in the UFC, he hasn't really won them. That's the problem, right? Like, I think he should have beat Arlovski and Latifi probably, but he lost. So in his wins, he's been knocking guys out for the most part, except for the Spitz fight. Nascimento got brutally knocked out by Dawkins, right? It's hard to not forget about that. He does have good ground game. I do think he's a pretty good heavyweight. I think he could win this fight. I'm going to stay away from this one, but I'm picking Boser by knockout too. So that's my pick in this one. I think he can catch his chin. But again, man, if this guy can get into the ground, he can submit him potentially. I do think Nascimento's not bad, but he barely fights, right? It's hard to pick the guy. So I'm picking Boser. That's my lean. Boser's more complete, but that's why we can take him down Southern on like TV. That's kind of how I'm looking at the fight as well, man. So we have the same thoughts on that one. Let's go to the next fight here, guys. We got Joe Pyfer, body bags, Marcel, taking on Alan Amadovsky in the UFC middleweight division. And I'm really surprised Amadovsky even got another fight. I want to be honest with you guys. Let's do the odds quickly. This is actually a very competitively lined card, but this fight sticks out like a sore thumb. -435 Joe Pyfer, +350 Alan Amadovsky. I mean, is there anything else to be said? Joe Pyfer knocks him out in the first round. I think this is such an easy fight to call. Look for that prop, Joe Pyfer by first round knockout. I'm not even sure why this guy's on the roster. I don't really get it. I guess they're keeping me around just to get an easy win for Pyfer, because we know Dana likes Joe Pyfer. That's why he's on the main card. Yeah, he shouldn't. Just be honest, he shouldn't be on the main card, right? But the UFC really likes this guy.
I mean, his teammate Pat Sabatini is 4-0 in the UFC and he's on the prelims.
Joe Pyfer first round knockout. I feel confident that he knocks him out. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Amadovsky, I remember him outside the UFC, looked like the next big thing. In the UFC, hasn't looked good at all, man. Got completely dominated by Krzysztof Jotko in his UFC debut. Got knocked out by fucking John Phillips, who went 1-5 in the organization, or 1-6, I don't know. And then recently he got submitted by Joseph Holmes, Hasn't looked good at all, man. Cannot pick him. And Joe Pyfer looked really good against Ozzy Diaz in the Contender
Yeah.
Series.
Oh yeah.
Really like what I saw there. And I think everybody did. So I'm actually surprised that I think the odds could be even higher, So I'm taking Joe Pye for first round knockout as well.
Yeah, I don't think Alan Davigovsky should be in the UFC. I really don't think he's that good. And you're right, he was looking good before the UFC. That's because he was in Bellator, Marcel in the Bellator prelims in Italy and stuff. So nothing special about this guy at all. Had Orlovsky can't play. Oh, you're talking about that fight with Boser? I thought Boser got robbed personally, but anyways, go to the next fight here. This fight should be pretty good. Andre Fili taking on Bill Algeo. And this is another competitive fight according to the odds makers, Marcel. Andre Fili is a slight favorite here, minus 120, plus 100 on Bill Algeo. Can I start on this one again?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, man.
I like Bill Algeo in this fight, Marcel. I think he wins the decision against Andre Fili. I just think Andre's on the decline now, guys. He's been in the UFC for 9 years, almost 10 years next year. He's extremely inconsistent. He's a win-loss kind of guy. And he actually hasn't won since 2020 now. He's on a little bit of a skid. He got brutally knocked out by Barriault in his last fight. I just don't think he's looking that good. I think he's on a decline. I think it's a fade spot for him. Bill Algeo, his crazy thing is Bill's actually a year older than Andre, which is really surprising when I saw that. But I think he's like more in his prime, if that makes sense, like fighting prime anyways. He's probably taking a little bit less damage in his career. They both have the same amount of fights, basically. Actually, no. Fili's got 31 and Algeo 22, so slightly less fights for Algeo, but obviously experienced. I just think he's going to, outwork this guy and win a decision. They actually have that common opponent with Brito, and you saw how those two fights went. That's something to keep in mind. You never know. Can't do MMA math, but I like Algeo as a dog. He's one of the dogs in this card I do think wins. I think he wins a decision. That's my pick, and I feel decent about it, Marcel. I think that's the way this fight goes. Your quick thoughts?
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard the name Andre Touchy Fili.
I heard
it. Yeah, I heard it as Andre Touch Me Fili. So I was like, huh? What is Touchy? Yeah. By the way, I think Megan O'Leary invented that name. Yeah, man. I also pick Algeo here, man, by a decision. I feel like I also don't feel like Algeo should be the underdog here. So, but I'm happy he is. But yeah, Algeo decision. I think the same. I think Fili. No disrespect to the guy, but he didn't look good against Joe Anderson Brito last time. And he had more times that I was like, not really, And I feel like Fili had a lot of potential, but the full potential has never come out, man, so far. So Bill Algeo looked better every fight. I remember he was in trouble against Herbert Burns the last time out. Herbert Burns gassed himself out, got injured as well. But he looked good, Algeo, man. He took over and he finished him. So I'm taking Bill Algeo, and that was recent. It wasn't July, man. So, yeah, I'm taking Bill Algeo.
He did take his fight on short notice, something to keep in mind, but he just fought, right? Plus 175. Pardon? Sorry?
Who was Fili supposed to fight again?
I think it was someone else. Pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right.
It's plus 175 Algeo by decision. That's why.
Venada.
Yeah, Venada. That would have been a good fight. I think Fili maybe had a better chance to win that one. Personally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like he can't win this fight. Of course he can win, but I lean Algeo. That's I feel like decently about it. So
we feel the same.
He actually opened as a minus 160 favorite, so the public flipped it again, and I'm not sure if I agreed on this one. I'm just not seeing a lot from Fili lately. All right, let's go to the next fight here. This is as of right now, it looks like it's the co-main event because we don't really know if Sadiq Yusuf's going to stay in the card.
Yeah.
So at this point, we'll call it the co-main event. Later in the week, there might be a fight that gets announced for Sadiq, but I'm not counting on it. This fight's also very close. This is actually a pick'em fight, Marcel, minus 110 each, so it's a pure pick'em. Chidi Njokuani against Gregory Robo-Bama. We'll call him Robo-Bama.
Robo-Bama, that's it.
Love it, right? What do you think, man? I love this fight. What do you think? I think it's one of the best fights in the card. An amazing fight. What do you think?
I think it can go, yeah, definitely. I said it in the beginning already, yeah. I think it can go both ways in a way of certain way. I mean, does Robo-Bama use his fight IQ in this one? Or does he fall in love with his striking again? Because his striking is fun, but why would you go strike with a striker when you're so much better on the ground? You know what I mean? And that's the thing for me here. So I either think that maybe Chidi can knock him out, but if Robo-Bama uses his fight IQ, he should win this fight with his jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? So, and I don't say Chidi is not good on the ground, but he obviously is a better stand-up fighter than he's a ground fighter, in my opinion. I think Rodriguez fights smart this time. Maybe not in the beginning, but I think he can overcome the first round. Maybe get a submission win here. I don't know for sure, but I honestly think that he's going to submit him, man. I think Rodriguez is going to submit him, and I'm going to go crazy. I'm just going to pick first round.
Okay, so the odds on him by submission are plus 500. So if you want to bet on that, that's good odds. First round submission for Rodriguez is plus 1,000. So there you go, Marcel. You should put a few bucks on that. I'm on the other end of this one, I guess. I like Chidi. I think he knocks him out. That's my pick in this one. Chidi by knockout is plus 325. I just checked. Those are good odds, in my opinion.
What round?
That's just any round. That's just him by knockout. Oh, you're saying which round am I picking?
Yeah.
Probably the first, right? I mean, that's how he's won his last two. I guess I'll take first round knockout. That is plus 900. That's crazy.
Yeah, and the dude can also, when he stops fighting, he can do something on the radio or
man, his voice is just mesmerizing. It's like I wanted to read me a book to bed, Marcel. I think that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love this fight, though. I think both guys are great, but like I've kind of questioned Rodriguez's chin ever since that fight with Jordan Williams. I'm still not 100% sure about it. I know it's held up, and he's looked great, man. In the UFC, don't get me wrong, he's looked phenomenal. I like the guy a lot. I just think Chidi's like legit as well, and he's got a lot of experience. He's looked phenomenal in the UFC with the back-to-back knockouts. 16 seconds over Barriault, and then he had that spinning back elbow against Dusko. Not only that, but remember the Dusko fight? He almost choked him out, too. So I think the ground game is improving a little bit, too. I obviously I'd favor Obama. I call him Obama. Rodriguez, if the fight goes to the ground, I would favor him. But I think it stays standing and knocks him out. So that's my pick, guys. Pick him fight. Can go either way, but Chidi by knockout's my pick. A local likes him 2 by knockout. Yeah, exactly. I think Robocop's his head defense is not great. Marquez's in the last fight was even worse. Talking about Feli's. Yeah, I mean, Feli's definitely fought better opposition, but I just think he's kind of on a decline a little bit, man. And Brito and Brito's not a rank guy, right? So
no.
Rodriguez at Killcliff. Yes, he is. I love that. Actually, it's funny you mentioned that because I remember the last fight when he fought Marquez, I was like, okay, I think Marquez could beat him. Because again, I still question the guy's chin. But my friend, who knows I love the guys at Sanford, was called, I think, a few months ago. Up until now, it's Killcliff. He was like, dude, you're picking against a Sanford MMA guy? I was like, I know, I'm so crazy. And then he destroys him. So that should be a good fight. All right, let's get to the main event here, Marcel. This is going to be a fun one as well. We got Song Yadong taking on Corey Sandhagen. What a fucking amazing fight. 5 rounds. I love the UFC bantamweight division. Like I said, I think it's the best weight class in the sport. I know lightweight's great, but I think bantamweight is the deepest, best division in the sport right now. This is such a great fight. Right now, we got Corey Sandhagen, a minus 195 favorite. Song Yadong, a plus 165 underdog. Marcel, take it away. Give me your thoughts. Main event of UFC Vegas 60.
Yeah, great fight, man. I think Song Yadong has looked great lately, man. Knocked out Julio Arce, knocked out Marlon Moraes. Before that, got the Casey Kenny win. Got one loss against Carlo Frost before that. Decision loss, Got to be honest, before that, I also think he lost a few round statement fights, but he has looked good recently. Corey Sandhagen, 2-fight losing skid, losing to TJ Dillashaw in a fight I think he won. And then he lost to Piotr Jan in a pretty competitive fight, but Jan won the fight. The thing here is Song Yadong has probably, in my opinion, has to win early to win the fight. That's what I think, because I think Corey Sandhagen has a good cardio, look good, has fought 5 rounds before. Song Yadong never has fought 5 rounds before, at least not in MMA. So for me, it's here like Sandhagen fought the better guys, in my opinion. Lost only to Piotr Jan, to Aljamain Sterling, and controversial decision loss to TJ Dillashaw. But overall, he looked very good in the UFC, in my opinion. Song Yadong has looked good as of lately, but if you look at his earlier fights, and I got to take them I mentioned as well, I don't think he beat Vera. I don't think he beat Stamen. So that's a difficult one still, but I favor Corey Sandhagen, and I think he takes over as the longer the fight goes. As long as your Song Yadong doesn't knock him out early, I think Corey Sandhagen wins 4th round TKO.
I don't know if he knocks him out, but I'm going to pick Sandhagen. I just think this fight's going to be pretty competitive. I think both guys are fucking awesome, man. I think this is such a great fight. Like, these guys are both amazing. Sandhagen, a little bit more proven. I think he's fought slightly better competition, but Yadong's not a slouch, and he's got a great record, 8-1-1 in the UFC. So it's a great record. And I also thought he lost the Vera fight. Actually, it's funny. If you watch that fight, my tweet comes up on the screen, and I'm like, I think Vera won the decision.
Yeah.
It went the other way.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I think he's good. He's looked good lately too with the back-to-back knockouts. But I think Corey's proven himself over 5 rounds, and I trust that here a little bit more. I think Yadong is good though, man. He's only 24 years old. He's so young, right? He's been in the UFC since he was 19, so that's pretty crazy. But I think you got to favor Corey here. Like you said, could have won TJ fight. It was split. It was close. Even the Peter Yan fight was very close too. Like, and that kind of experience is so key, I think. So he's been here for the 5 rounds. He's done it before. I think he does the job again. It'd be competitive, but in the end, I think Sandhagen wins the decision. Quickly take a look at those odds. You said 4th round. Okay, let me see the decision first. 1 second. Sandhagen by decision. That's kind of what I'm leaning. Plus 110. Don't love the odds on that, to be honest with you. You said 4th round submission?
TKO.
Is that what you said?
TKO.
4th round TKO for Sandhagen. Let's take a look right now. It is plus 2,800, Marcel. Put a few bucks on that if that's your pick.
Okay.
You have to. So give me Sandhagen by decision. How many bets you guys making a fight card in general? What things you stay away? Just if I'm not sure, I'll stay away. I mean, I'm trying to not pick sure things, but it's just, I don't know. It's more of just like the experience. I've talked about this before. Just the experience of betting for a long time. Kind of like how you get like that feeling of knowing which ones to bet on and stuff. Depends on the card, man. Honestly, like some cards are a couple bets, some are more. Just depends on the card. Honestly, grill, it just depends on the card. Grease saying should win against TJ. It was close. And you're right. The TJ and Sterling loss, there's no shame. What's up, Antoine? My weekend was good, man. Glad that you asked. Hope your weekend was good as well, brother. So I understand logical in this matchup. They're the same points in their careers where this makes too much sense. I think the UFC might think that Yadong can win the fight. That's what I think's happening here. And he could. I think he could, but I think Sandhagen is going to be too much for him. Best looking fight, UFC fight night card after this one. Haven't really taken a look too much at the feature fight. There is no card next week, by the way. We'll still do a podcast, but there's no card.
That is weird, right? There's no card next week, then October 1st, and then there's another.
I know. I'm surprised by that, right? I wish they did in the summer. I would have enjoyed that better. Sandhagen has the reach advantage he does. So I'm about to say it could happen. He's very good, but it's 5 rounds, right? You're saying in 3. Okay, I see what you're saying. You can win 3 of the rounds, maybe. Yeah, are saying Murray still has a good chance. Main event winner get Cheeto next. Maybe. Especially if it's Sandhagen. That fight makes more sense than a rematch between him and Yadong. So I feel like, a lot of these fights we kind of had the same reads, but there was a couple we had a little bit of difference of opinion on. Just before we get out of here, Marcel, by the way, I just want to mention, Joe Pyfer by knockouts plus 110. That is a steal right now, in my opinion. I think he easily knocks him out. So that's crazy odds. The odds will change once all the other sports books get those numbers. All right, let's get to Dana White's Contender Series really quick, guys. We'll just go through this card. We'll do this one quickly, Marcel. I'll pull up it on Tapology. We'll go through it really fast. I don't want to spend too much time in this card. I'm actually starving, and I want to go eat something. So,
can I put it on the screen?
Yes, I'm going to do that right now. Let me pull that up. By the way, UFC just shared something about Elias Theodorou, so that's interesting. Let me pull that up quickly. They just shared this. Let me show you guys. They finally shared something. Apparently, Elias, they posted the viewing information and GoFundMe or whatever, so that's interesting. But yeah, they just posted this, Marcel, so there you go. And I'm sure they'll put that on the screen, I would hope, on Saturday, tomorrow, like you said, or even Saturday. All right, let's get to these fights really quick, guys. We got Brandon Lewis taking on Daniel Marcos in the first fight. Minus 150 Lewis, plus 130 Marcos. Any thoughts on this fight? We saw Lewis fighting Contender before.
Yeah, man. Brandon Lewis, he fought Mo Miller last year, I think.
Yeah.
Back then with 2 undefeated guys against each other. He lost. Got another fight in the regional circuit, which he won due to injury of his opponent. When he won, now he's back against Daniel Marcos. I'm not really familiar with Daniel Marcos, not gonna lie. Yeah. He's undefeated. That's all I know about him. I checked his record. There is not a name which I'm like, oh, I remember this guy or something. So for me, it's kind of a difficult thing to say. Yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, I can't give you an honest opinion about this one. He's undefeated, like you stated there, 12-0. But I don't know too much about this dude. I don't know about you, but.
I don't know anything about him. I'm just being honest with you. I should pull this, check out his record. I don't know anything about this guy. I don't even really know who he's fought. Honestly, with Contender, you never know. He might win the fight. I would lean Lewis based on the fact I've seen him fight before, but I don't trust him that much, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I'm not betting on this fight. We know, Contender's been really hard to bet on. Our boy Johnny's been getting slaughtered, by the way. So, go next fight here, Bruna Brazil. Wow, that's interesting name against McMann. Odds on this fight, minus 170 Brazil, plus 145 man. Any thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so Bruna Brazil, I hear from a lot of Brazilian people that she's really good, you know.
Yeah, no, sorry, her last name.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I understand. I understand. She's really good, and if you look at her record, she only has losses to Ariana Carnelosi and Jessica Delboni, which are both pretty good fighters. Definitely, Delboni is a really big talent, in my opinion. She got a win over Aline Saddlemeyer. I have the feeling like every Brazilian girl in the UFC has a win over her. McMann, I have seen her fight in LFA before, but that's it. I'm not really, I don't really know her too much. So it's again difficult to say whatever, but I would favor the Brazilian here probably.
Me too. I know I'm a little familiar with her, but like this last win, split decision over this girl is not. I think like that. This Kelly Armisen is not very good, so it's not too impressed with her. I would go with Brazil too, but again, it's contenders just really weird this year. Malik Lewis gets Trevor Peak. Actually, I'll start with this one because I actually know these guys. So odds it opened as a pick'em, and now it's minus 195 Lewis plus 165 Peak. Trevor Peak is a guy I cover for Expectation Sport. He just knocked out Kama Worthy a couple weeks ago. It was actually a month ago. Excuse me. Knocked him out, and that's a nice win, right? Got a lot of knockout power. He's looking good. Lewis is also undefeated. 2 undefeated guys with all their wins coming by finish. This fight will not go the distance. I'm confident this fight does not go the distance. Minus 400, but it's still a good parlay piece in my opinion. I'm gonna pick the underdog more so because I actually am pretty familiar with Peak and he's got some crazy power. So I'll pick him to win. But obviously, let's be honest, they're both undefeated prospects. It could go either way. But my pick would be a dog or pass, and I would take Peak. Any quick thoughts?
Yeah, I'm more leaning the other way, but it's like I'm not convinced. You know, I think might be one of the better fights on the card, maybe. But I agree that the other 2 fights are above it because those are even better. But these 3 are fun fights, and I'm picking Lewis, but I'm not sure.
Fair enough. Quickly on the other 2, Ikram Alex Skarov against Mario Souza. Odds on this one, Alex Skarov minus 580, Souza plus 440. We have seen Souza on Contender, but Alex Skarov, I'm assuming you're picking this guy.
Yeah, man. I think Mario Souza he's an okay fighter, you know, but I don't think he beats Ikram Aliskerov. Aliskerov has 1 loss, and this sounds like Chimaev.
Yeah, I know.
So, and dude is good, you know. He has also some good wins against Nashan Burrell, Dennis Tiuliulin. Even against, I didn't even know he won against Joey Birkenbos. I can't remember that fight. That's a Dutch guy, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm taking Alex Kirov. I think he's a good fighter. Mario Souza, he's not bad either, and he's very long. I remember he's like 1 6'3". Is he 6'3"? I think
he's pretty big.
Like
yeah.
But I'm taking Alex Kirov.
Yeah, same pick. I mean, this guy's 3rd chance at Contender, by the way. It's make or break for him, you know. And the only other guy I could think of had 3 chances was Dontel Mays, and he hasn't panned out very well. You don't really get 3 chances at Contender. I think he loses. This guy's good, and he's got some good wins already before coming to the UFC. Like Tolunin by stoppage was a nice win, for instance. Final fight, Alan Bogoso against Farid Basharat. Odds on this one. Basharat minus 295, plus 245 Bogoso. I'll start this one again. I like Basharat here. The guy's phenomenal, just like his brother. Great ground game. Coming from, you know, decent promotion, Octagon, like we talked about. All finishes. Bogoso also has power. He had a crazy knockout in his last fight, this jumping switch knee. But I watched this fight again, taken down at will in this fight. I think it's taken down, maybe submitted. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. So Basharat's my pick. Your quick thoughts?
Yeah, Basharat by decision, I think. I think he will implement this wrestling ground game. So yeah, Basharat.
Awesome. Let me just quickly get these comments, guys. Talking about Papuria, but that card's awesome. That was a great fight. Yeah, it's true. I agree with this, actually. He's talking about, you're right. It is about staying away from fights. It is about that too. For talking about betting. I know it's crazy he's getting another shot, right, Glenn? I'm a little surprised by that. Okay, one other thing I want to talk about, we'll get out of here in a sec, Marcel, but I got to pull this up here because Elias Theodore's family has just posted something on his Instagram. Did you see it?
No.
They did an hour ago, so I guess we were doing the podcast. Okay, let me pull it up here. Last thing we're going to talk about today, guys. We started with Elias, we'll end with it. Elias Theodoro answered his final bill yesterday, September 11th, 2022. Passed away peacefully at his home with his family, loved ones this quarter after a hard-fought fight with colon cancer metastasized. It was not liver cancer, it's colon cancer. That's why I was not in a rush to report it after I heard yesterday, because you have to get it right. And the reports are wrong, guys, unfortunately. Not liver cancer, colon cancer. That's different, and it makes a little bit more sense, right? This affects a lot of young people. It's so sad. It's really sad. Faced his end as he lived his life eternally, rashly, and infectiously optimistic. Also, Castro faced it a confidence will post. Make it long story short, there's a viewing in Woodbridge, Ontario, which is about like an hour from me. So I can't make it, I don't think, on Wednesday. I won't be able to, but I mean, I would love to go there. Maybe I can. I don't know. I'll have to see. That'd be nice to see him. Actually, I can't. I'm doing the podcast with James. I just realized on Wednesday, Party Shop podcast, so I won't be able to. But that's awesome, man. And there's a GoFundMe for him if you want to donate to that. So yeah, I mean, we started off with the show with Elias, and we end with it. God bless this guy. Mm-hmm. All right, Marcel. Yeah, I liked him too, man. He was a good dude. All right, Marcel, let's get out of here. Plug your stuff.
BigMarcel24, Twitter, Instagram, Eurosport.nl, Mixed Martial Arts section.
Guys can follow me on Twitter at MMAdamMartin. Podcast, as always. It's at MMAOBdaily.com. Like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. Also, bookies.com for my best bets, guys. Miami News for some news. And, of course, MMAOBdaily.com for all your betting news and updates. We'll be back on next Monday, to recap this card. And just want to plug that Party Shop Wednesday with James. That's going to be awesome, too. So definitely check that out. Hope you guys have a great day. Marcel, thanks again, man, for doing this. It was awesome. And hope you guys have a great weekend. Take care.